Well, now, speaking of stars, look who's here. It's Spot the Wonder Dog, all dressed up as sort of a mailman. There's the pouch, little cold weather wear for Spot. Roger and I, for the first time, are now going to answer some letters from you. That's why Spot is there. If you want to write us or the ASPCA for making Spot wear that ridiculous outfit, get out a pencil. In a minute or two, we'll give you our addresses. Okay, Roger, here is some mail we selected that we wanted to answer.
Okay, Gene, let's see. This letter is from Frank Farrell from a small town of California. He says sometimes he has to drive an hour and a half to see smaller art films like Autumn Sonata or Days of Heaven. Why can't he see the smaller pictures in town? It's probably true that a lot of the smaller artistic type pictures that we talk about on this program do not play in smaller towns. They're not like James Bond and play everywhere. I suppose the thing to do, if you have a university or a community college in your small town or nearby, see if it has a film society.
Right.
If it doesn't, start a film society. Some of these films don't cost more than $200, $300, $400 to rent.
In 16 millimeter.
In 16 millimeter, yeah.
Another thing that he can do is talk to his local theater manager. If it's part of a big chain, the theater, then talking to him isn't going to do any good. He doesn't set policy. But if it's an independently owned theater, then the theater manager has a say over which picture he shows, and in a slow week, let's say the end of January after the Christmas pictures play a while, he might actually run a film that people request because he wants to do some business. I've got one from St. Paul, Minnesota, Stephen Marchio. He wants to know why at the end of the show we call it Dog of the Week. Dogs are such nice creatures. Why make dogs have a bad name? And then we got a postcard here from someone who wants to know about whether Spot is our own dog. Well, Spot is not either of our own dogs. Spot is owned by Bob Hoffman, who's an animal trainer outside of the Chicago area. As for Dog of the Week?
We have nothing against dogs. We just call them Dog of the Week. Actually, we didn't even have Spot when we started calling them Dogs of the Week,
That's
right?
just the title.
You know,
Dog,
the question I
picture.
got, this was a great one. Somebody said, is Spot a real dog? And I think, what do you think, Spot?
See, he holds his head motionless so much sometimes on the show that people don't know that he's real.
Spot is probably a real dog, okay? Here's a letter from Kathy LaCroix of East Hampton, Massachusetts. Takes her teenage sons to see PG-rated movies. They often have nudity, cursing, and violence in them. What does the PG rating really mean? What is it? How can she rely on it?
Well, the movie picture companies want to have their films rated PG because that means anybody can go. Lots of people can go. If it's rated R, it's restricted. So the movie companies put pressure on the people who rate the movies so that fewer things will get things rated R. Now, the things that get things rated R are one swear word specifically, nudity below the waist, extreme violence, really slashings and close-up, or a really kinky, weird subject, incest or something like that. That makes it R. Other than that, you can get some pretty foul language and some pretty rough action in PG.
Maybe what we might do on the program is with PG-rated pictures at the summary at the end, if we think it's a little extreme for younger viewers, we might mention that, right?
That's what we'll do because of Kathy LaCroix's letter.
Kathy LaCroix's letter, right.
All right. I have a letter here. Why don't you guys have a few drinks together? You don't seem like you like each other very much.
Well, we are competitors. We've been competitors for 10 years. The two, you work for the Tribune, I work for the Sun-Times in Chicago, the two morning newspapers. So professionally, we are competitors.
Yes, I like to beat your brains out in print anytime I can.
Well, I always enjoy doing that too, but I suppose I have a grudging respect for you as a film critic.
I suppose I do too.
Right, and when we leave the studio, we drive in separate directions in separate cars, right?
We have a drink once in a while.
Okay, right. That just about does it for this show. Thanks for your letters, and if you feel like writing, our address is Sneak Previews, care of WTTW Television, 5400 North St. Louis, Chicago, Illinois, zip code 60625. Repeating once again, Sneak Previews, WTTW, 5400 North St. Louis, Chicago, 60625. And Spot the Wonder Dog is at the same address, but he does a really bad job of answering his mail. Now let's take another look at the movies on this show.